Once again, good morning, everyone. Somehow, this morning, we ended up with only one sentence. We cleared the decks for Mr. McLaughlin. Usually our Mondays would be quite full, but I think this might have something to do with spring break and wedding plans and other things. Anyway, we just have the one case this morning, which is a blessing because we're moving and everything is in chaos. But this is in the matter of Austin Whitcomb. The file number is 2612SD. Mr. Stephen McLaughlin is here on behalf of the defendant from the Hills Law Firm. The defendant is here, and Matthew Huff has prepared the screening report. This case, I have to say, Mr. McLaughlin, is pretty straightforward. You've done some of the heavy lifting already with your client. He was very forthright with the probation department, and he has no criminal record. So I guess the question is, what do we do here this morning?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I didn't hear you.
What do we do here this morning?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I would first inquire of the court, did you receive a copy of the MAD certificate and the alcohol evaluation that my clients completed?
It is in here, got a picture even.
Okay.
I don't know when that was put in. If it was there this morning, I didn't see it, but yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. I was reviewing with my client in preparation for today the report prepared by the probation department, and there were two issues that we would ask the court to consider there. He was scored 10 points for driving, and that's 10 points for high speed, disregarding signs, or other potentially dangerous driving. And I would indicate that I don't think that ought to be scored in this case, because if we look at the police report indicates that he was driving under 10 miles an hour when the police officer saw him driving. And my client confirms he thought when he was stopped, he was going about 5 miles an hour. So I don't believe the kind of reckless disregard for speed or signs or other kinds of dangerous driving that we often see in drunk driving cases was here. And then the second one would be
but it had two blown rear tires.
And my client has explained to me that at the time of the stop, he was about 2 miles from his house and was simply trying to use his words, limp home, in order to avoid the charge of a tow truck and all that would have entailed.
All right.
The second, Your Honor, is the open container. My client does indicate that he had several unconsumed beers in the truck that were not open. The police report references one open beer can that was empty. My client indicates that he was not drinking while actively driving on that night. So he contests the scoring of that factor as well.
All right.
Other than that, as the court has already said, this is Mr. Wickham is a man who was cooperative with the police when he was stopped. He did everything they asked him to do that night. He's employed here locally as a welder, lives with his girlfriend. They have several children. He indicates to me that his life basically revolved around going to work and working with his kids. On the night in question, as he indicated at his plea, and I believe also in his statements to law enforcement and probation, that he did consume some alcohol and drove home. Did get the flat tire, was trying to just get his vehicle back. He indicated to me that he had even at one point tried to get his father to come and give him a tow back, but was unable to do so. He's completed the alcohol evaluation and completed the victim impact panel, entered a plea in this case to impaired driving. This time we would ask the court to assess fines and costs in this matter, as we don't believe that there's any rehabilitative goal based on the evaluation and what he's already completed at this time.
Very good. Mr. Matthew Huff is here. He prepared the report. There's some wrinkles in it, but essentially the defendant doesn't have any criminal record. The night was troubling. Mr. Huff, what's your thought here?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. I enjoy when I get to meet with a client who's just upfront and honest. I think that's what's going on with Mr. Whitcomb. I only spoke to him for maybe an hour, but anyone that has no criminal history but then decides to leave everything out there, as far as substance abuse or substance use or history thereof or lack thereof, I can appreciate that. I think this is a January 1st bad decision. He doesn't have any criminal history. I was concerned that really the only aggravating factors that I see present in this are 1.5 times the legal limit at the time that he was actually stopped, which implies that he had a much higher blood alcohol content because he was coming across the county to get home to Three Rivers realistically.
I wasn't clear. Where were you coming from?
My mom lives on, she's 89. She's over in Orleans, where I grew up at. I had stopped and seen my mom, and then a good friend of mine that I worked at the tree service in Ottawa with lived just on the other side of the block. I stopped and said hello and then started making my way back.
All right, so you started in Indiana,
Yes, sir, Orland.
Orland, and then to St. Joe County?
I started in Orland. I went to the Buddies that is just a block away from there in Orland on the outskirts. And then I stopped in Baroque on my way through at a friend's house and then was on my way back home when my tire blew at the bridge just outside of Centerville here.
And home was where? 8th Street at that point?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I've been at 8th Street for going on almost 4 months now. We're purchasing a house over there.
Where was your wife and kids?
Sir, my wife, I am no longer with.
Well, I wasn't clear. So you're getting a divorce, but then you've got a girlfriend that has kids?
Yes.
When they refer to the girlfriend, that's a different person than the wife?
I have not been with the person that I am lawfully married to since April 24th of last year, sir.
All right. He lives with his girlfriend and children. He's in the process of getting a divorce. So I wasn't clear. So where's your wife?
She lives in Baroque.
And then you and your girlfriend are buying a house in Three Rivers?
Yes, sir.
All right. And do you have children with the girlfriend?
No, none of them are mine. We conjoined theirs for, she has 3 kids and I have my daughter.
All right. And where does your daughter live?
My daughter lives with me.
All right. So you got your daughter and your girlfriend's 3 kids all living in Three Rivers.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're out driving like an unguided missile on New Year's Eve while your wife and kids are at home with a 12-pack of Bud on the passenger floor. But to your credit, you've been pretty upfront about all that. All right, go ahead, Mr. Huff. I guess I got a better understanding.
Yeah, so I mean, there are some obviously aggravating factors here. Now, whether or not it rises to enough to overcome the presumption that there's fines and costs, obviously the court's gonna have to make a decision when it comes to that. I think that, in my opinion, based as a probation officer, and in my experience, I typically like to prescribe a timeout probation in this sort of a situation where, you know, you can have somebody take a timeout from alcohol. If they can do that over the course of 3, 4, 5 months, then realistically, you know, they're able to show that there is no rehabilitative goal. I trust Mr. Whitcomb, as I had stated in my initial statement, is that I think he's an honest guy. But realistically, anyone can tell anyone anything. And so we don't actually know. What we do know is that his blood alcohol content was pretty high that night.
I think a large percentage of our cases, drinking driving cases, also have a marijuana THC component. It's lawful to use marijuana as an adult for recreational purposes. And a lot of people that tend to get in trouble for this also are recreational marijuana users, which you were. So there was probably also THC in your system. If I put you on a probation, can you put the THC down for 6 months?
So I could put it all down. It doesn't, like I told him, I'm just at a point in my life where I'd like to move forward and build a future for myself. That's why he got someone to represent me. I'm taking this very seriously.
Well, that's my impression as well. All right, fair enough. They don't test for marijuana generally. So, and there's no way to know what the standard is. We know with alcohol, over 0.08 is considered to be over the lawful limit. There is no lawful limit for marijuana. At one point, if you had any marijuana in your system, it was presumed that you were in violation of the law. They never did figure it out. The state police said the Department of Licensing was supposed to figure it out. Department of Licensing said the state police are supposed to figure it out. Nobody figured it out, and they don't have a good way to measure it. And I'm not aware of any of the 50 states that has a legal limit for marijuana. So you can't tell whether somebody smoked 4 blunts a half an hour before they drove or had a gummy the night before. But marijuana is in the background in a lot of our drinking driving cases, and that certainly can't be a positive thing when it comes to operating a vehicle. This was not good. You were drunk. You drove all the way from Orland to Burr Oak, which is not an easy way to get there. Then you drove from Burr Oak to Three Rivers, which isn't an easy way to get there. It's snowy. It was a very cold and snowy New Year's Eve. I was glad I was at home eating pizza and waiting for midnight. And you got this car with may pop tires, and then they did pop, and several people called Central Dispatch and said, hey, there's some guy driving real slow down the road with no tires. So you still had quite a ways to go from where you were to 8th Street, Strobel Road. That's probably 3 miles anyway. Anyway, I'm glad nothing worse than this happened. But anyway, Mr. Huff is recommending what we refer to as a timeout probation, and you seem ready and willing to accept it. So I'm gonna follow his recommendation. It's the shortest probation we have, which is 6 months. Under the law, if you do it, you can do it in 3 months. We become desensitized to blood alcohol levels. We see so many high ones. When we see a lower one like this, a 1.3, we tend to think that's not very drunk, but really it is. So I'm going to order 3 days, credit 1, leaving 2 days to serve. And as Mr. Huff recommends, I'm going to defer those 2 days. There's a $300 fine for impaired driving, $75 crime victims' rights fee at $50 state minimum fee. Cut the screening fee in half to $50. There is no attorney fee because you retained an attorney. You've already done the victim impact panel and some of the other things that I would have recommended. Probation oversight fee is $240. The police, there was no police reimbursement that you
Not
located.
listed in the copy of the police report that I was given.
Sometimes the prosecutor has one and we don't, but they're not here, and the police have been a little lackadaisical about it. I'm not going to order one. There's no victim impact panel. No drugs and no alcohol, including marijuana. Test as directed. And we just call this a timeout. Let's add those fines and costs up. 300 plus 125 plus 50 plus 240. Who bonded you out?
They let me go after I was, after I blew clear.
Who picked you up at the jail?
My girlfriend.
She probably wasn't very happy, was she?
No, sir. She had asked me to stay home that night, but I don't get out very much. And because normally I work all the time. Anytime that there's an out or in job I can do, that's what I do. It was like one of those times I haven't gone out and did anything like that in years, nor probably will I ever again, unless I probably just stay where I'm at. It will never happen again. It is not worth all this.
You hit it right on the head. Many of the people I see, I never see again. And I think that may be in the category you fall into. There used to be a lot of time to see them again. There isn't. Unless you get in trouble in the next 8 months. It won't be me. Mr. McLaughlin, I suspect you probably wish you had more clients like this.
Yes, sir.
Life would be real easy if you had clients that accepted responsibility and were realistic about what they needed to do, and that isn't always the case, which is why you guys make the big money. All right, I'm going to refer you to Mr. Huff. He's got a good handle on this, and so do you. It's no marijuana, no alcohol. Your license will be restricted. You can drive back and forth to work, treatment, school, other purposes. You can't go on vacation or drive to the movies or that sort of thing. But I think you're going to be just fine. It said where you worked. It didn't say. There was a blank spot, and then it was Miller Poultry. Which shop are you working for?
Miller Poultry. There's Miller's farm in Constantine.
Oh, Miller's
I work
Farm.
part-time for them.
Okay.
I started at Alliance RV in Elkhart. I'm an aluminum welder there, and I also help out at tree service in Elkhart. And then from time to time, I help out Wolf Painters.
Yeah, I don't think that a lack of work ethic is your problem. There's probably all kinds of tree work to do right about now, but all right, you go, Mr. Huff, and good luck, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, Matt, this goes with that too. All right. Thank you. I've got, as I said, the only functioning courtroom in the building for the next couple of days. So I've got a civil docket this afternoon. I've got arraignments, pre-exams, a sobriety court tomorrow. There are no prelims except for tomorrow. So it will be a busy week. Been moving in between breaks here. I'm gonna do some more of that here today. All right, thank you, everyone. We'll be back at 1:15 with our landlord-tenant docket.
In this case, the judge hears a straightforward impaired driving matter involving a defendant with no prior criminal record who was honest and cooperative throughout the process. His attorney argues that certain aggravating factors, like reckless driving and an open container, were overstated, explaining the defendant was driving slowly on damaged tires, simply trying to get home after drinking, not driving dangerously, or actively consuming alcohol. The probation officer acknowledges the defendant's honesty, but notes concerns such as his high blood alcohol level and long drive on a snowy night, recommending a short time-out probation to ensure accountability. The judge agrees, emphasizing the seriousness of the offense despite it being a first mistake, and sentences the defendant to a brief jail term of 3 days, with most of it deferred, fines and fees, and up to 6 months of probation that can be reduced to 3 months if completed successfully. The defendant is also ordered to abstain from alcohol and drugs, submit to testing, and accept restricted driving privileges, with the judge concluding that his acceptance of responsibility and willingness to improve make him unlikely to re-offend.